Happy morning to my dear students. Children, already in our previous sessions we have learned few chapters in biological science, in chemistry and physical science. In today's session we are going to revise chapter 1 in biological science. And children, do you remember what did we learn in chapter 1? Yes, we studied about tissues in chapter 1 in biological science. So before going into tissue, we must know the organization of cells in the multicellular organism. So how cells are organized in a multicellular organism? First, I would like to remind you what is a multicellular organism. So you must be very clear that a multicellular organism is an organism that is made up of many number of cells. It can be a million and trillion number of cells. So a trillion number of cells to be formed, combined together to form a multicellular organisms. Can you name few multicellular organisms? Human beings are multicellular organism, animals and plants are all multicellular organisms. So in this class, first I would like to say that the cells are the basic unit of life. So why we call cell as the basic unit of life? Because all the organisms are made up of very minute structures called as cells. And these cells, as you know, they are the structural as well as the functional unit of life. So children, why do we say cells as the functional unit of life? It is because many important life process, many chemical reactions, they are happening actually inside the cell. Even internal respiration happens inside the cell. So that's why we call cell both as a structural as well as the functional unit of a living organism. So cells are of different kind and different shapes and size. They all doesn't look the same way. They all look in different manner and they do different kind of job in our body. So when these cells, similar same kind of cells, they combine together and when they do a specific function, then we call them as tissues. So what are tissues? Tissues are group of cells, they combine together to perform a specific function. A group of similar cells, okay, the same kind of cells, they combine together to form a particular function, then we call them as tissues. Okay, next, these tissues, what they do is they combine with each other to perform an activity in our body. So many life processes like respiration, digestion are done by the group of tissues working together. And the group of tissues working together, they are called as organs. Yes, children, you're right, they are organs. So we have quite a number of organs in our body. So you can name few organs. We have liver, we have stomach, we have lungs, pancreas, gallbladder. So we have number of organs, heart, brain, number of organs in our body. And when you say each organ has some specific job to do. Imagine your brain. The important job of a brain is to control all the vital activity which is going on in our body. So it is like your class monitor or a class teacher. She controls all the activities which is happening in your class, isn't it, children? Similarly, our brain also control all the activities which is going on in our body. It gets help from another organ called as spinal cord. And moving on to the next organ, the heart. So heart is called the pumping organ. So what happens in pumping? So you have learned in your previous class, pumping is the process of contraction and relaxation of your cardiac muscles which is present in your heart. So heart is an organ. It helps in pumping the blood throughout our body. And lungs. Lungs is another organ which help in respiration. So each of the organ has a specific job to do, and these organs are made up of a group of similar tissues working together. And the organs all work together to perform a activity, a process in our body. So these organs coming together, they are called as organ system. So organ system is number of organs working together to perform a life activity. So what are some of the life activity that is going on inside our body? Yes, children, you're right. Respiration happens in our body, excretion happens, digestion happens, reproduction happens. But how are these activities performed in our body? It is because of the organ system. So the organ system is composed of not one organ, but it is made up of many number of organs which work together to form the organ system. For example, when you take your digestive, last year we discussed about digestive system and circulatory system. So in a digestive system we have seen the organs, number of parts like your mouth, your food pipe, your stomach, your liver, small intestine, large intestine, all these organs, they all combine together, they all work together, they all contribute towards the process of digestion. So digestive system is an organ system. Similarly, you can imagine your nervous system. So nervous system, brain, your spinal cord, your motor nerves and your sensory nerves, they all work together to perform the process of carrying out the nerve impulses from one part of the body. The nerve signals from one part of the body to other part. From the brain to different part of the body and from different part of the body back to the brain. So this is how different organ systems work in our body. And these organ system, they all join together to make up an organism. So this is how the cells are organized in a multicellular organism. So the cells, group of different shape and size cells, they form tissues. The tissues combine together to form organs, and the organs combine together to form organ system, and finally the organ system make up the organism. So this is how the entire life process happens in a multicellular organism. And your first chapter in biological science is about tissues. So what are tissues? Tissues are a group of similar kind of cells that perform a particular functions. So the tissues, we can study tissues under two different categories. The first one is plant tissue and the second one is animal tissue. So what are plant tissues? In plant tissues, further it is divided into meristematic and permanent tissues. So we are going to learn about plant tissues as well as animal tissues in this lesson. And the plant tissue is divided into two types, children. They are meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. So what are meristematic tissues? Meristematic tissues are cells which are very active cells. They keep on dividing in the plant and they are responsible for the growth of the growth of the plant. And the meristematic tissues are further divided into types like apical meristem and lateral meristem. So the name itself suggests the apical meristem, they are found on the apex of the plant, that is the tip, the uppermost part of the plant. It is responsible for the growth of the plant in the upward direction. But the lateral meristem is responsible for the growth of the plant in the lateral sides. So there are two types of meristematic tissues, apical and lateral meristem. Next is permanent tissues. The permanent tissues are cells which are mature tissues. Okay, they are made up of mature cells, means they stop dividing and they form the plant. So they are made up of mature cells and no more divisions, no more cell divisions happened here. There is no more division in this permanent tissue. And this permanent tissue is further divided into two types, simple and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue is made up of only one type of cell. So it is called simple permanent tissue. And the complex permanent tissue is made up of two or more kind of cells. So they are called as complex permanent tissue. And simple permanent tissue is further subdivided into categories like parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And complex is divided into xylem and phylum. So children, in this session we'll be reading from your book line by line, and I'll be explaining to you about the different kind of the functions of each type of the plant tissue as well as about the animal tissues. So children, you can turn your books to page the first chapter, and I'll be explaining you line by line. In this session I'll be giving you a few instructions regarding your classwork notebook, so don't forget to watch the link till the end. Don't miss the video in the middle. Okay, you can watch till the end so that you will understand how to write your classwork notebook.
So now from your textbook we are going to see about the various categories of plant tissues and their functions. So plant tissues are broadly categorized into two types, that is meristematic and permanent tissue. First, let's see about meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue is made up of small walled cells, and these cells are either spherical in shape or oval or polygonal shape, and these cells have a large nucleus and a dense means a thick cytoplasm and few small vacuoles. So they are not like the other cells, they have the ability to divide continuously and to produce new cells. So the meristematic cell is responsible for the growth of the plants, and all other types of tissues they develop from the meristematic tissue. So what you have to remember is meristematic tissues, the cells divide continuously so that they are responsible for the growth of the plant. In mature plants, the tip of the stems and root, they grow in length throughout the plant's life, contain meristematic tissue. So this type of meristematic tissue which is present at the tip of the stems and the root, they are called as apical meristem. So since they are present in the tips, they are called as apical meristem, and they are responsible for the growth of the plant in the upward and downward directions. And the meristematic tissue that help the stem and root to grow in thickness is called cambium. So it is not present at the tips. It forms a ring-like structure around the bark. In some cases, they are present as strips inside the stem and the root. So since this type of tissue, they are responsible for the lateral growth. Lateral growth means the plant's growth in thickness. So it is called as lateral meristem. So the tissues which are responsible for growth in thickness of the plant, they are called as lateral meristematic tissues. So when you see a stem of a monocot plant such as grass, they do not have a lateral meristem because these plants they elongate. Elongate means they grow only in their length rapidly, but their stems do not expand. So when you observe the stem of a grass, they do not grow in the lateral sides. They do not expand. They only grow in the upward and the downward directions, whereas the dicot plants have lateral meristem and their stems are able to expand laterally also. So dicot plants, they have lateral meristem as well as the apical meristem, so they are able to grow elongatedly as well as laterally. For example, trees such as mango and banyan tree, they have very strong, if you have seen the trunks of such trees, they have strong and stout trunks. Stout means fatty trunks, due to the presence of the lateral meristem in the dicot plants. Next, we are going to quickly revise about the types of permanent tissues. So what are permanent tissues? The cells formed by the meristematic tissues, they become mature and they lose the ability to divide anymore. So these tissues which have stopped dividing and assumed a permanent shape and size forms the permanent tissue. And the permanent tissue is of two types, namely simple and complex tissue. We have seen that simple permanent tissue is made up of only one kind of cell, and they are subdivided into three types: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. The very important function of parenchyma cell is to store food and water, and it is present in all parts of a plant, but in leaves it has one additional responsibility, that is to produce food by the process of photosynthesis. The parenchymal cells have space between each other, and these spaces are called as intercellular spaces. Okay, next let's move to collenchyma cells. The collenchyma cell, the major function is to provide support and flexibility to the plant, and it is not found in the roots. They are found only in the stems and the petioles of the leaf. But in a collenchyma there are no intercellular spaces as pectin. Pectin is a type of carbohydrate, and other substances are deposited between the cells. Next, let's move on to sclerenchyma. Students, do you remember the function of sclerenchyma? Yes, children, you're right. Sclerenchyma provides strength to the body of the plants, and they are made up of dead cells that are packed together closely. And the cell wall of sclerenchyma is thick due to the presence of a chemical substance called as lignin. The other type of permanent tissue is complex permanent tissue, and they are made up of two or more kind of cells, hence they are called as complex permanent tissue. So it is of two types, which is xylem and phylum. The important function of both of them is to transport materials within the plant body. Xylem is like a long pipe through which water moves up from the root to the leaves, and xylem is made up of more than two kind of cells, that is it's made up of tracheids or vessels or some sclerenchymatous cells, and xylem runs through the center of the stem, and xylem is mostly responsible for the conduction of water and minerals from the root to the leaves. Next, let's see about phylum. The phylum is responsible for the transport of food to different part of the plants. So it is made up of cells called as sieve cells and companion cells. The sieve cells are elongated cells. They join end to end with perforated plates between them. Perforated means something having a lot of holes or openings in them, and the pores or openings in the plates provide a route for the passage of food. So just this phylum is responsible for the transport of food from the food throughout the plant. Students, we have quickly revised about the types of plant tissues and their functions. Next, let's see about the animal tissue. The animal tissues are of four kinds. They are epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissue. And each kind of tissue has its own structure and function. Children, do you remember about epithelial tissue and their function? As epithelial forms the outermost lining, the outer surface of the whole body. It lines our organs. It lines means it covers our organs, cavities and other parts of the body. For example, the epithelial tissue, it covers the outer and inner surface of the organs such as heart, stomach, lungs, etc. It also forms the inner lining of the blood vessels and other lymphatic vessels, ducts and tubes such as bronchioles, and it is also present in glands such as salivary glands and the digestive glands. So in general, epithelial tissue, they provide protection from injury or germs, and they help in absorption and secretion. You will be learning in detail about the types of epithelial tissues and their functions in your higher classes. Next one is the connective tissue. This tissue is very important, and there are three type of connective tissue. So you shouldn't get confused. There are three type of connective tissue. The first one is connective tissue proper, and your second one is skeletal tissue, and third one is vascular tissue. So what is this connective tissue proper, it connects, it support various structures in our body, it fill up the space, and it form the framework of the body, and it also provide protection. And this connective tissue proper has again got four divisions. They are areolar tissue, adipose tissue. So what is this areolar tissue does is they fill up the space between the organ, and adipose tissue, as you have seen in the video, they act as a store of fat in a body, and they provide protection from any injury. They even act as insulation against cold. Okay, when you have good adipose tissue, you don't feel that much cold. And the third type is tendon. What is this tendon? They connect the muscles and the bones. What are ligaments? They connect the bones and the bones. So tendon is muscle to bone connection, and ligament is bone to bone connection. So these are the four types which comes under connective tissue proper. Okay, the second type is skeletal tissue. The skeletal tissue is much stronger than the connective tissue proper, and there are two types of skeletal tissues. They are cartilage and bones. The cartilage is present in joints and bones. They act as a cushion between the bones. And the ears, nose, trachea and larynx also have cartilage. So you can even touch and feel the cartilage which is present in your nose and the ears. When you pinch the nose, you can feel a flexible part which is not your bone but a cartilage. And the next is bones. These are the hardest connective tissue, and it contains three types of cells. They are osteoblast, osteocytes and the osteoclast. The bone marrow is present inside the bones, that is responsible for formation of the blood cells. Next, let's move on to vascular tissue. So vascular tissue is the fluid connective tissue. So we have seen the two types of connective tissue. First one is connective tissue proper, second one is skeletal tissue. The third one is vascular tissue. The vascular tissue is a fluid connective tissue because the vascular tissue is the only connective tissue that flows, and blood and lymph are the two types of vascular tissue. So first let's revise about blood. The cells of this tissue, they lie suspended in a matrix called as plasma. So the blood cells, they lie suspended. Okay, they float in a liquid like substance called as plasma. Okay, there are three type of blood cells. There are RBC cell, your WBC cells and the platelets. You have already learnt in detail about the functions of each of these cells. What is lymph? Some blood leaves the blood capillaries and they escape and they pass into the space between the tissues. So this straw colored watery fluid is called as lymph, and it drains into lymphatic vessels. Okay, it is a network of vessels that forms the lymphatic system, and the main function of this system is to protect us from diseases, and they carry some nutrients in them. Next, we are going to learn about muscular tissue. The tissues form muscles which not only help us to move our body, but the muscular tissue, they help us to breathe, to digest the food and to throw out the waste from our body. And there are three types of muscular tissue. They are voluntary, involuntary and cardiac muscles. Children, are you all with me? Do you remember what is voluntary muscle? The muscles that are attached to the skeleton, they are called as skeletal muscle or voluntary muscle because we can move this muscle according to our wish. For example, to walk, to jump, to grasp something, we use this muscle. And the voluntary muscles contract, they move the bones attached to them, enabling means helping us to move different part of our body, and they are present in all part of the body, and we can move these muscles voluntarily. Next, let's see about involuntary muscle. These muscles are found in the walls of organs such as stomach and blood vessels, and we cannot control their movements by our conscious effort. So we call them as involuntary muscle, and these muscles, they contract and they relax on their own. to carry out various life processes. For example, the involuntary muscles which are present in the alimentary canal help in the peristaltic movement, that is the wavy movement of food along our food pipe. Next is the cardiac muscle. They are very specialized involuntary muscle. They are present only in the heart and we have no control over these muscles, and the cardiac muscle contract and relax to pump the blood to different part of our body. The last type of animal tissue is the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is made up of specialized cells called as neurons, and these neurons, they help to transfer the messages from all part of the body to the brain and the spinal cord, and also to get the information from brain to different parts of our body. I have also discussed about the various parts of a neuron or nerve cell in our previous sessions. They are cyton or the cell body, tail like axon, and dendrites, which are short fiber like structures arising from the cyton, and they also have nucleus and various organelles. The cytoplasm of a neuron is called as neuroplasm, and the bunch of neurons, they form nerves. The brain, spinal cord and nerves together form the nervous system. So you will be learning in detail about nervous system in another chapter. So children, we have revised about the various types of animal tissues, that is epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissue. Further, the connective tissues are classified into connective tissue proper, skeletal and vascular tissue, and the muscular tissues into voluntary, involuntary and cardiac muscles. So with this, our first unit in biology is completed. It talks about the different kind of tissues in our body as well as in the plants. Children, I am going to give you a few instructions regarding your classwork notebook. So you will be given 3 one-side ruled 192 pages notebook for your science subjects. So you can allot one notebook for your physics, one notebook for your chemistry and one for your biological science. So you can take your biology notebook first. After covering your notebook, you can fill the index column and you can start from the second page. Don't write anything in the first page. Students, you are expected to complete your classwork. Thank you children. Have a nice day.